So today we talked about synthetic division, another way of dividing, just a pretty much easier way. It takes away all of the craziness of dividing long division. So this one, you have to start with the number that makes the denominator equal to 0. So x plus 4 equals 0, and so x would be equal to negative 4. So negative 4 is going to go on the outside of the box, and the box is actually upside down. It's like an upside down long division box. And then you're going to use the coefficients, including those that are not shown in the problem. We'll talk about that later in problem 3. But you're going to include the coefficients of each of the terms in the numerator. So the coefficient of x squared is 1, the coefficient of x is 7, and the coefficient of the coefficient there is 12, okay? So this is how you start it and set it up. Now, you bring the very first one down, so that's 1 is going to come to underneath the bar, and you're going to multiply the outside. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, and you're going to write the answer on the inside. Then you're going to subtract or add. You add these two numbers together, that's 7 minus 4, which is a 3, and you put the answer on the outside, and work the same process again. You're going to do 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12, and then you're going to add, okay? And that gives you 0. Now, the outside numbers are where the solution comes from. You're going to start 1 degree less than your numerator. So the degree of the numerator up here was 2, which means my answer is going to start with a degree of 1. And it's going to be x, and it would be 1x, but we don't put the 1 there typically. But the 1 comes from this number right here, okay? So it's 1x, and then it's plus 3, and you're going descending order. So if this was a first degree, this would be 0 degree. Now those two 1s are not necessary, so we don't actually write them, okay? But they came from, because this was a second degree on the top, this is first degree for the answer, and the coefficient is the one that's here, and that then plus 3 would be the next term, and there is no remainder, so this just becomes x plus 3. Okay, so x minus 1, positive 1 makes that equal to 0. The coefficients are 1, negative 3, 8, and negative 5. We bring the first one down, which is 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and negative 3 plus 1. So outside is multiplication, inside is addition. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So we multiply. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Then we add those 2, we get 6. Then we multiply. 6 times 1 is 6. And we add those 2, and we get 1. Now we start 1 degree less. So this right here is a third degree, which means my answer will be a second degree. Okay? So we're going to start with x squared, and the coefficient on the x squared should be the 1. Okay? And then the coefficient of the next one is going to be negative 2x, because that would be first degree. Then it's going to be plus 6, and then it's going to be plus 1 divided by x minus 1. Just like your remainder on long division, you have this would be considered the remainder on synthetic division. And so it would end up being x squared plus or minus 2x plus 6, and then plus 1 over x minus 1. Okay? All right, let's look at number 3. Now here's a situation in number 3 where I have to include the coefficient of the term that's not there. So notice that it jumps from x to the 4th and it goes to x squared. I have to make sure that I put a 0 in place of the x cubed that's missing, and then negative 7, then 9, then negative 10. You have to keep its place. So you want to put that 0. Okay, bring the 1 down. So 1 times 2 is 2. Add those together, gives you 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Add those together, that's negative 3. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Add those together, you've got 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Add those together, you've got negative 4. And then again, I start with 1 degree less. This is a 4th degree, so my answer is going to have a 3rd degree. Okay? And it's going to have a 1 in front of it. The next one's going to be 2nd degree with the 2 in front of it. The next one's going to be first degree with a negative 3 in front of it. Then I have my constant, and then I have my remainder. And the remainder always goes over what your original denominator was. So this is the denominator, this is the numerator. All right, the next one, we're going to do negative 1. And we've got 2, that's x to the 4th. Negative 1, x to the 3rd. We have 0 on x squared. We have 0 on x, and then we have a positive 4 as the constant. Okay, we bring that 2 down. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and we add it, so that's negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3, and we add it, so that's 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, we add it, that's negative 3. And negative 3 times negative 1 is 3, and we add it, we get 7. So we start 1 degree less, so that's going to be x to the 3rd, and the 2 has to go in front of that. Then it's going to be negative 3x to the 2nd. Then it's going to be plus 3x. Then it's going to be minus 3 as our constant. And then it's going to be plus 7 divided by our original denominator. Okay, x minus 3, we're going to use positive 3 on the outside. And we've got 2, negative 11, 15, 6, and negative 18. Here's an example where all of the terms were there. We didn't have to use any zeros. Bring the 2 down. That's 2 times 3 is 6. It's negative 5 when you add. This is negative 15. That's 0 when you add. That's 0 here, because 0 times 3 is 0. Add it to 6, and that's 6. And then 6 times 3 is 18. Add it to negative 18, and you have 0. So we start 1 degree less, that's x to the 3rd, and we want the 2 in front of it. Then minus 5x squared. There is no x term, so don't put it, because it's 0x, and we don't write 0x. So then it's plus 6, and there's no remainder. The last one, we're going to use a 7 on the outside, using 1, negative 6, 0, negative 40, and 33. That one down, that's 7 here, that's a 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 0 is 7. This is positive 49, minus 40 is 9. And this is positive 63. You add that, that's 96. And yes, you can have enormous numbers like that. So 1 degree less, we have x to the 3rd, and the 1 should be in front of that. Then we have 1x squared. Then we have 7x. Then we have plus 9. And then we have our remainder at 96, which goes over the original denominator.